In 2009, the Italian and French navies needed to upgrade their arsenal of frigates. Italy had to replace its old Lupo and Mistral-class ships, while the French wanted to replace the outdated Tourville, Legs, and D'Orves-class ships. By 2012, the Italian and French navies had received the first ships of the class. However, they didn't know that they had just gotten one of the best frigates in the world for years to come. The French and Italian Navy were in a bad position in the first years of the 21st century. Both navies were retiring several classes of ships, so they worked together and produced the Horizon-class destroyers. The Horizon-class destroyers, despite entering service in 2007, are to this day one of the best ships in the world for air defense purposes, which was what both Italy and France had asked for. However, they had one big problem. They were too expensive. The ships costed around 1.3 billion euros each, which was a price that both countries weren't willing to pay. Finally, both countries decided to order 2 ships each. However, they quickly realized that it wasn't enough, and that's when talks about the FREMM started. Initially, 3 variants of the ships were proposed: a general-purpose version, an anti-submarine warfare version, and a land attack variant, which was ultimately scrapped. The variants are very similar. However, the general-purpose version has a 127mm main cannon, while the ASW has a 76mm main gun. Initially, France was set to order 17 frigates, while Italy ordered 10. Throughout the years, the French Defense Department was subject to budget cuts, which ultimately led to France only receiving 8 FREMM frigates. Italy, on the other hand, has received all of their 10 frigates. Finally, in 2013, the first Italian ship of the FREMM class, the Carlo Bergamini, entered service. The French instead had to wait until 2015 to see their first FREMM frigate, the Aquitaine, to enter service. The FREMM has different main cannons based on the variant. The general-purpose version has a 127mm main cannon and a 76mm cannon, while the anti-submarine version has 2 76mm cannons. Both navies use Aster 15 missiles for anti-air defense. However, they use 2 different anti-ship missiles. While France uses the Exocet 40, Italy uses the Automat Mark II. The missiles have similar ranges and speed. However, the Exocet is more modern than the Automat. This, however, causes the French Exocet to cost more than $3 million, while the Automat only costs $500,000. The ships, despite being really similar in design, have major differences because of the different roles that they have in each navy. The Italian FREMM is larger, faster, and better armed, while the French focused on a ship with great range and autonomy and with less crewmen, thus developing a cheaper ship. The Italian version can also carry 2 helicopters instead of the French version, which can only carry 1. Most of the onboard equipment, such as softwares and radars, are also different. But now let's talk about the American FREMM. In 2017, the U.S. Navy announced that it had selected 5 shipbuilders to produce conceptual designs of the ship. Among them were major names like Fincantieri, Lockheed Martin, and General Dynamics. In April 2020, the contract was awarded to Fincantieri, which had proposed a variant of the FREMM design. First of all, we have to say that Fincantieri's design for the Constellation Class is based off of the anti-submarine variant of the Italian Navy. However, the frigates will have major differences in order to appeal to the different needs of the U.S. Navy. First of all, as we can see in this graphic, the FFGX will be around 7 meters or 23 feet longer than its European counterpart. It will also be around 4 feet or 1.3 meters wider than the FREMM. The U.S. Navy's design will also displace 500 tons more than the Italian Navy's variant. Of course, the armament on board is going to be completely different. The frigate is going to be armed with a single 57mm main gun. It will carry a minimum of 32 missiles, including Tomahawk missiles, Sea Sparrow missiles, and RIM-66 missiles. For aerial threats, The frigate will also be equipped with at least one FREMM 116 anti-air defense system. The ship is projected to have a max speed of 26 knots and a range of over 6,000 nautical miles. And while only 7 ships have been planned for now, the U.S. Navy wants to build as much as 4 Constellation Class frigates per year in order to catch up with China. The program is largely appreciated by the U.S. Navy because of the versatility of the ship and its rather low costs. For example, each Arleigh Burke-class destroyer costs around $2 billion, while if built in an economy of scale, each Constellation-class frigate would come at a price of $600 million. If you want to know more about the Italian Navy and Italy's military power, you can click on this video here.